Hello, and a very warm welcome to all the viewers and listeners in today's Gyan Darshan session. Learners, our today's session is on research issues in vocational education, and this is a part of the course RVE 003, which is under the PhD program offered by the School of Vocational Education and Training. So, in this course, learners, I am the course coordinator for this course RVE 003. And as you can see, the topic today, which is research issues in vocational education. So basically, this is discipline based in vocational education, and all the researchers who have registered in the PhD program, as well as all those who are aspiring to pursue a PhD in vocational education from our university or elsewhere, and all the faculties and staff who are associated with vocational education at any point of time, they all will be benefited by today's program. In the studio, I have with me Professor Ashok Gaba. He is the program coordinator of the SOVET program, the PhD program, which is being offered by SOVET. So before taking up the session forward, let me just give you a brief of the course structure of what this course RVE 003, which is Research Issues in Vocational Education, is all about. So let's have a look at the course structure of this course firstly. So basically, we have divided this course into different areas, and each areas we have covered different topics. To begin with, let us see, we have first covered global perspective, where we are going to discuss about entrepreneurship, where we are going to discuss about vocational pedagogy. We are going to discuss about capacity building in vocational education. Then what are the different kind of pressures which are facing the vocational education system and uncertain economic and labor market environments. How to develop the workforce, quality assurance and evaluation. So these are the aspects which we are going to, which we have probably covered in the global perspective. Now coming on to the national perspective. Here we have talked about, the NEP 2020 policy as well as the NSP 2015, the planning, the monitoring, management and vocational education and training. Then we have also discussed in the national perspective about the craftsman training scheme, the apprenticeship training scheme, what are the polytechnic challenges, skill development schemes, assessment and evaluation of VET in India. Then we have also talked about the role of National Skills Qualification Framework and the different sector skills councils, digital technology and VET, institute, industry linkages and so on and so forth. Then coming on to the social perspective, we have tried to cover the social acceptance of VET, formulating needs-based vocational courses. Then we have also talked about entrepreneurship, then how to reach the unreached, because there is a diverse market group, or a target group, we can say. We have target groups in rural as well as urban areas. There are disadvantaged section of society. There is gender. So all those things we have tried to discuss in how to reach the unreached. And then last but not the least, the dropout intervention strategy. Then we've also discussed about the kind of modular-based competency curriculum which normally we see in skill-based programs. Then the use of ICT technology, that how ICT is very useful, its resources and the tools, how they are useful in VET. Then attitude, your work habits and your ethics in the work environment. Now, let me take the discussion forward. I will now proceed by I'll start beginning my session by asking Professor Gaba, sir, that sir, what should a researcher primarily do for finding out research issues as a practitioner?
Thank you, Dr. Geetika. You have nicely apprised the course structure of this particular course for those who are interested to do research in vocational education, and it is the need of the hour. As you know, our policy and Government of India is giving focus on all the National Vocational Qualification Framework and National Education Policy 2020. Every programs to be vocationalized and aligned with the skill development courses. So in that direction and keeping the need of the hour, so School of Vocational Education and Training, Indira Gandhi National Open University designed this particular course, and for those practitioners, those who need the research aptitude, and also for those policy makers, that findings will be giving very, very important, relevant for this particular course. So what the questions that raised Dr. Dr. Geetika, and that is research issues in vocational education, what researchers should do. So first understand the vocational education training system. As you know, there are multiple and complex system in India. We are offering courses of programs related to vocational education, defining the specific aspects, focus areas, and boundaries of research activity within the discipline. As because we are not discussing the all the skill development courses and all the professional courses. And what we understand as a researcher, when you are going to start research in vocational education, you should have the basic understanding on vocational education conceptual framework, and also covering issues related to training, skill development, workforce, vocational pedagogy of or teaching methodologies, and many more. That are the issues. So first step is for the practitioner and who are interested to do research as a PhD course, or those who are interested to be researcher and having the already projects where they are working on that, or faculty, those who are interested to research in vocational education. The first to understand the vocational education. The question is, what is vocational education?
Yes.
And there is literature available where you can see how it is aligned with our course curricula. When as a faculty you are teaching courses, and our new education policy 2020 giving major focus to align these courses, as I said, to the curriculum alignment with the skill development courses. So these are the first step. And two, you see the screen, we have identified the understanding of VET research in different domain. What is VET program? First issue. Issue is what research issue in vocational education? And there's a lot of debate among the scholars across the globe, and our available research evidences and our existing literatures have given different terminologies on vocational education programs. And we explain, the authors explained in different terminology, but overall, the person who will be trained in particular vocational trade is called vocational education programs. But in professional programs, it may be different from the vocational programs. To understand the conceptual framework, again, we have vocational pedagogy, again issue. Second issue is vocational pedagogy, how to teach vocational program. Vocational pedagogy is totally different from the academic courses, and a lot of debate across the globe. Again, we have a different experiences, which literature is giving reporting. We said German model, we said Australian model, but what about vocational pedagogy in Indian context? Yes. Because our India learners and different cultural background and different skill requirement at the respective regions and different skill requirements by the industry, these are the issues which we are going to discuss in research issues in vocational pedagogy, and how to teach vocational pedagogy, vocational courses, programs in the context of the local need as well as demand side as well as supply side. Because if you see, the industry needs skilled manpower as per their need of the industry. And if we are giving degrees and diplomas and certificates which is not meeting the need of the industry, then no need for having the design the curriculum. Yes. So vocational pedagogy is important issue. Then we are coming to curriculum design and development. So curriculum design, how to design curriculum. There are so many models, issues are there, where, for instance, vacuum approach we discuss, where employer, industry, and as well as the person who are going to be trained, and faculty, trainer, master trainer to be involved while designing the vocational courses curriculum as per the industry needs. But the issue is, when we are discussing issues, various different models are available. But we are giving more focus, if you see the research issues, and that is theoretical part, knowledge part, and less in skill part. Because skill always challenge particular courses or academic courses when we are going to, because social acceptance, Dr. Geetika already briefed in curriculum structure RB03, ki social acceptance is an issue. So curriculum designing, when we are designing this program, keeping this mind of the learner's background and also the need of the industry. These two important part issue what we are discussing. Then workforce skill and competencies. What curriculum is we are going to deliver? We have to test prior learning. Learners might be having the knowledge and skill competencies before enrolling the particular programs, or may not in the main discipline. So these are the issues, and then we come to these structures. We come a design like this: policy and governance. We have a National Education Policy 2020, and we have also the National Skill Development Policy. Then we see the National Skill Development Policy 2015.
Yes.
So after that we are coming to National Education Policy. Now we have in vocational higher education system National Credit Framework. So a lot of guidelines has already been there. So we have to see the implementation part, how these vocational programs to be offered at regional level, at higher education institution level, in what context, and how this National Credit Framework will be implemented. As if you see the document of the National Credit Framework, 1 credit is equal to 15 hours, and practical part is 1 credit equal to 30 hours, and internship and or employment training on the job training, 1 credit is equal to 40 to 45 hours. So in that context, the policy guidelines says we have to implement National Credit Framework implementation as per the National Education Policy 2020. These are the issues we have to address in our research. Then assessment and certification. There are so many various models available across the globe, and not only across the globe, within India, within the different states, where assessment and certification is an issue. So assessment certification, as per the National Skill Qualification Framework, we have to give the skill and knowledge part, and if you see the skill, knowledge and aptitudes, but where is about the experience? What we are discussing, industry experience or internship or project work, what we are discussing, these are the issues we have to find out. Then what is the role of industry in our academic institutions? Already the regulating authorities in our India come out various guidelines, but we are looking success stories. So that success stories will be helpful for the policymakers or any education institutions to implement that model in their respective institutions for effective delivery of vocational education programs at their respective institutions. These are the research issues. And then career guidance and our TESOL studies, what students are doing after getting degree. Because our data says the different reports which industry are publishing, FICCI, Association Chamber of Industries, where they say that graduates are not having the skill competence what they required for that person, but maybe giving training to particular vocational training institutions. After passing that certificate, diploma or degree, what students are doing at present, that is also a research issue. We call TESOL studies. Various reports already World Bank and our national level policy making like Niti Yog had already published and reported that reports in different states level, and even our own study, what we have done also, we have reported some students are getting benefited and some are going non-vocational jobs. That is the issue we have to find out through our research. That is the issue. And then gender and diversity in vocational education programs. So these are gender diversity is inclusive education and disabilities learners we have to see in vocational education, and then economics of our funding of vocational education program and quality and accessibility. These are the first we as a researcher to understand the vocational education research. And the important issue is what you said about how to identify. So here we are selecting a research problem here for the researcher perspective. I think what question you asked me about this particular case.
Yeah, so I think so. So the first part you have explained of my question is very well. You have explained that the different kind of research issues or the challenges which a researcher can face as a practitioner. So you very nicely explained in my first question. Now, sir, I want to know now what are the steps and the sources to find out research issues and problems. What are the different steps and sources which one needs to undertake if they need to find out some issue and problems?
Good. That's a very good question, because a lot of faculty, those who are viewing this program, may be asking these questions because they are not having research background, or they want to do research in vocational education. They may be policymakers, they may be faculty, they may be industry, but they want to know the steps. Yes. For them, those who want to register also in PhD programs, they also want to know. So first is there, when you identify the research issues, what are the research issues? It's a very important issue. And then selecting research problem, because first to identify research problem, when you are going to start your PhD or any research projects in vocational programs, that is selecting research area. How to select a research area, that course structure, our PhD program also addressing these issues. That will come through discussions, through policymakers issues, or institutions or government wants to have a report on this topic first. Or as academicians, you want to do research, you have to see what is the need of the hour, that your research will be useful for the policymakers.
Right.
Two. Third is Research area, going to literature. How to do review of literature and theories. What are the research theory, vocational education theories? How to do literature review in vocational education, different sources. Then come to delimiting your research topic. It is not so many areas in our coursework. We have our students, we interacted them. Students have, when they start your PhD, they have different ideas, so many multiple issues, but mind. We have to go delimiting the research topic when you are going to start and evaluating the research problems and issuing while comprising your problems and issue together and make a final statement, that is formulating final statement of research problem. Second important part is, if you see the screen, we have select this table. That table will help you as researchers. Factor must be considered while selecting a problem. Who asks you? Is it need of the policymakers or need of the faculty as an industry? You want to start your research. So first, you see the first column we have explained the interest, ability, the problem must be researchable, specific, new area, creativity and feasibility, data availability. These factors to be considered when you are going to start research and PhD. And then how to identify research issues. You have multiple ideas and you have gone through research issues. And research issue first you have find out through maybe interaction with the policymakers or industry heads or institutions or employer or your supervisor. Maybe so many issues. Yeah. And you have given this topic is okay, I will do research. But how to you identify these research issues? Then research issue 2, you have find out through your literature review. And research issue 3, we called brainstorming sessions. Have a meeting, have a discussions, come out. For instance, in our IGNOU case, we want to do the vocational education program data and enrollment to be increased. That is a research issue. The policymaker wants to how to increase this enrollment in vocational education programs. As we find out, this is a research problem. So we have find out where social acceptance is the first problem, because society give more importance to your academic programs rather than vocational education program. Second, we find out that industry is not having the acceptance and confidence of vocational education programs that where they are looking into hands-on experience, because industry have to look forward to give the hands-on training. Then model should be there where curriculum knowledge part should be given all vocational education institutions, including IGNOU, and the skill part by industry. So this joint efforts will be required. Research issue 3, how to proceed. There are a lot of guidelines are there without having success stories in hand. So these are the first steps, second steps, what we are discussing. Third important part is the understanding. As I said earlier, vocational education training system, policies, and second is stakeholder interactions. That is, just I said, maybe industry, maybe employer. These are the, I think, steps what we involved. But most important issue, quickly I will explain what are the such issues in there under this particular problems or issues. Technological advances. For instance, how technology is important in vocational training. This is an issue, but I am highlighting now crux of the session. How technology is important vocational education program, such as online learning, digital learning, or industry. Because policymaker says they have vocational education cannot be offered through online or digital learning. But there is evidences where we have experimented in-house here and in other institutions as well, where success stories are available. We have to find out. And second, social equity issues, how many gender, male, female, these are such issues. Now I am explaining further detail how well vocational education training program align with the needs of the industries and employer, focusing on skill gaps and workforce demands. These are the important issue of industry alignment, because our courses are basically major focus on knowledge part, how to align. But if you see the alignment of as per the national skill qualification, my issue is, for instance, how to align our courses as per the national skill qualification framework. What I am saying here, industry alignment. But if you see the skill components and different sector skill councils, they have a different their own components. X industry says we need this particular skill. Y industry says I need this. So vocational subject and discipline to be designed like a need of the specialized industry, like sector skill council of apparel industry or fashion design industry, your sector skill council on your retailing sectors. So these are the example. We have to align with these courses as per the national skill qualification framework, and how again we have to give major focus on hands-on or your practical courses. Now third point is assess pedagogical innovation. I am explaining what we discussed, your course structures.
Course structure.
And then we are also discussing the steps, how to identify. And under that steps, what are the research issues we identified. This literature, what I am discussing here, we reviewed literatures across the globe and also policymaker document in Indian context. I will add more that is assess pedagogical innovations, that is innovative teaching methods, competency-based education, or the integration of emerging pedagogic approaches in VT. How integrated? Like MOOC intervention we have done. In our program in School of Vocational Education, we designed this, our certificate program, we have given intervention to MOOC. These are the innovative steps. Then policy evaluation, the impact of vocational education. Now we want to see the research issue, if you want to do PhD, what is the impact of VT policies and reforms. For instance, you have done 3 years back, 10 years back, this National Skill Qualification Framework, almost 11 years there. Let us find out how much employability increase after implementation of National Skill Qualification Framework in different sectors of vocational education programs. These are the research issues which I am giving example in this particular session. Now coming global perspective, if comparing vocational education training system, policies or practices across different countries to identify best practices. This is I already shared with my other sessions, lesson learned and opportunity for cross-culture research. This is the important topic and research issue we need in our vocational education research, and also ethical research. But last point, you have given course structure, I correlated my research issue in ethical research, reflect on ethical consideration associated with your research problem, ensuring that it aligns with the ethical guidelines and principles. And these are the most important steps what I have covered, and we try to sort out issues, but identifying quickly research problems in vocational education and training, you have to find out relevant research issues. What are the relevant research issues? To see the problem solving sessions by the industry, or as academicians, you have to review literature and see what research gaps are there in the vocational education system. By focusing on that, our research, I mentioned here, research in vocational education training has the potential to drive positive changes in education employment and skill development. Only our research can help in this particular direction. If you see the classical example on screen, what I have given, one example I have given latest study, this problem is in this research issue, how to sustain the quality of vocational education training in the age of digitalization. These are the issues that I raised. So you see the demand side of skilled labor market, we have taken these variables, the digital transformation of the workforce, and second is the capacity of industry services, challenges of German vocational education training model, and strategy of German vocational education model. So we have to see these variables together when you are going to start your research, finalize research issues and problems, and the table which I have discussed as shown on screen, that will help you through this diagram. What are the research issues first, then what is the second research issues, and what is the third research issues. Under that, I will also, I think the question what you have raised, I tried to complete all steps.
I think so, sir. You have very well explained. You have tried to cover our entire course structure very well by covering the global perspective, the national perspective, as well as the social perspective. One very important thing, sir, which I want to know, or even the researchers who are wanting to know, what are the emerging trends with respect to the Indian context? If somebody has to do research, what do you feel are the emerging trends? Very quickly, if you can just give us a brief.
I have given some classical example within these research issues. I think all I covered, despite of the fact students want, what or researcher wants, first they have to see the local need of the research, what trends. Secondly, in India, I recommend as a researchers, and on the basis of the policymakers' need, the government is spending a lot of money in this particular schemes.
Green skills.
Green skills. So we have find this need of for research in vocational education in national perspective. First is curriculum relevance and alignment with the national qualification. How to our design curriculum and align with the national skill qualification. This is a research issue. I think to be through research or through any guidelines or any practitioners, that is action research required. There are two types of research: descriptive, discipline-based research, and action research. In vocational education training programs, we need at the moment is action research. Then quality of training. If the previous slide we discussed about the quality of issues. So that model I discussed. So quality of training, why, how and when vocational training program. Third point I would like to conclude here, lifelong learning and upskilling, that is such issues we have to cater in Indian context. Classical example I already given, employability and job placement. Researchers should examine the employability of vocational education graduates and their job placement rates. Factors such as soft skill development, internships, industry collaborations need to be investigated. These are the such issues. And then the most important also, government is looking on that. The policymaker will also, this research will help them when we do the study on inclusivity and equity in a vocational education program. There is a need for research to address issues of inclusivity and equity, because a lot of people are deprived from the vocational education schemes, particularly then when we meet the government target of skill for all or vocational education for all, then we have to see the policy and governance issues and come out the funding and economics of vocational education programs. These are the research emerging trend, but I find through literatures and practitioners and the reports, we should cater the needs. Researchers should come forward with such problems and issues when we are going to start the research.
I think so, sir. You have very well explained the relationship between what is VET, employment, and the emerging trends. I'm sure our learners must have really enjoyed today's session, and they must have got a lot of insight as to what kind of research they are wanting to do for our already registered learners, as well as our learners who are aspiring to do PhD in vocational education, which is a discipline. I thank Professor Gaba for taking such a useful session today, which has benefited many of us. And in case learners, if you have any queries, you can please write to us, or you can email to us on sovet@ignou.ac.in. Thank you so much. Thank you.